this video, what we'll be doing is the initial assessment. So first off, we need to schedule our assessment visit. And how I'm going to do it is by finding the client, who is our test client here, and clicking schedule, finding a time for it to be blocked off, selecting myself from the employee list, and for visit type, we're looking at outpatient assessment. It's happening at the Child Center here, and going to schedule it. Now click on it and begin visit, and this will bring us to the assessment screen. The provisional assessment and the full assessment are pretty similar, but the full assessment has much more on it, so that's what we'll be doing today, but we're not missing out by not seeing the provisional too much. So we start off with the initial information, the start date, pick today's date, and the assessment info provided by. So say the client and his mother. And then if we click this box here, we can add some strengths. So let's say he's very intelligent. And down here it'll automatically fill in the referred by box from his information. So we can click complete there. And then his individual functioning. This is where we look at the symptoms and concerns. There's space for 3 of them in this one, but you don't have to fill them all out. Type in what the concern is here, when it occurs, where it occurs, and the lagging skills associated with it, so you can just check these boxes. Its frequency here, the intensity, you just select one of these, behavioral description of it, and how long it's been of concern. If it's something like an angry tantrum, you can click down here. If it has a length of its own, so say they tantrum for 15 minutes, you can type it in this location. If you need more space, you can just click on this right here and the box will increase in size. And how it impacts their functioning here. And click complete. And as you do each of these, the checkbox will come up. So if there are more symptoms and concerns, you can type them in on these 2 here. And then next up is the thinking skills inventory. And you can just fill in the bubbles as appropriate here. So if they have difficulty handling transitions always, you can click 3. And a box will pop up if you want to type in any additional information. The only time the box will not pop up is if you click 0. So they never have difficulty with that skill. If you have for each one of these, I'm just scrolling down here. And at the very bottom, you can look at the above information and kind of pick the lagging skills that stand out. So say executive skills and cognitive flexibility, and then type in information about that here. And a specific example of what might illustrate the lagging skills. Then next up we have our mental status exam, and this is in 2 parts. Starting with the mental status assessment, information about the setting like provider's office, and kind of check whatever is appropriate. If you want any comments to say appearance or any of these, just click comments and a text box will type up for more narrative sort of illustration. And same with behavior, motor disturbance, concentration, and orientation. All these have the comment box that can pop up and you can type in narratives. Same with speech, language, mood, affect, thought content, thought process, perceptual difficulties, hallucinations, memory. If they're able to provide historical information, so if they are, you can just click yes. If not, there's a text box. As far as abstraction abilities, if they are compromised, a text box will pop up. If not, you won't get one. Insight, judgment, intellectual functioning, general knowledge, and reliability of self-report. If there's something you're unable to assess or something clinically significant, you can just click by the plus here and type in a narrative of that. If there is a crisis situation here, you can detail that. Same if they're 5 or under. You can give some information about the parent-family interaction and some information about neurodevelopmental screening. If there are any risk factors here, so for suicidal and homicidal. If there is a need for a safety plan, There is information that pops up about it here if you click yes. And if there's additional information you want to type in, feel free to type that in here, and any notes about the mental status assessment. Then as far as substance abuse, if there is any, you can click it as appropriate and give narrative details. If they need further referral, you can type that in here and click complete. Then we have historical information for the presenting problem. So if there has been a prior treatment history, you can describe it here, and a history of the presenting problems or any past instance here. Now we're done with the functioning section. Then we go into home, community, and school. And first up with family, family composition will automatically pop up. You can type in their strengths here. If you have any concerns about family functioning, you just check the boxes here and then write notes below in a narrative format. We have our substance abuse history and some other screening questions here. If you do click yes on these, the narrative boxes will pop up, otherwise they will not. Or if there's any other relevant family history. Next up we have a shorter one, cultural information. So if there is any specific cultural sensitivity, you can type those in here. If not, just click no. We have school, social, and community. So kind of the same thing as before. If you click yes, information will pop up. If you click no, the text boxes won't. And there's school functioning. So if they're having difficulty in school, just like before, if you click yes, they will pop up. If you click no, they won't. If there are any special education accommodations, info will pop up for a narrative. And then for all these, you just click complete at the end and then complete it. Next up for medical and developmental, same sort of things as before, just have all these screening questions and information and space for narratives. There is a note on here for their bedtime, as well as info for how much they're sleeping at night. And you can just click in there to select the time. Same for developmental history here. And nutrition and eating. And then you can click complete for that. And next up is the trauma screening, same as before. If they're yes, text boxes will pop up here for you to type in. Now for diagnosis, assuming this is their intake assessment, they won't have a diagnosis, so it'll be blank here. So what you need to do is click on Client Intake, and what I like to do is open it in a new tab or a new window. So you can right click and New Tab. That'll bring us to the Client Update section here. So we've got our client info, and click on Diagnosis, which is the little stethoscope, and Start New Assessment. If there's info in here already, there'll be a button for Update Assessment. So from here you choose the diagnosis that fits best. They're all alphabetical except for these first 14, and these are the 14 most commonly used here. And if you need more details about it, for example, you need to put it as a diagnosis, you can check the Rule Out button, and all of this pops up by clicking on the little scroll right here. Then if there is an access to diagnosis, you can select it from here or select No Diagnosis. Same goes for access to. There is a very large list of medical conditions here that you can search for. There's a text box for access for concerns, as well as checkboxes for stressors, and you can select the severity and a place for their CGAS. And then click Save. Oh, and I didn't select the level for educational stressors, which is this red arrow up here. So be sure to fill it out or it will not like it. So all of this will have been saved here, and then you can just go ahead and close it. And if you click complete and then go back in here again, all of that will be in there. So you can click complete, And then there's space to type in your clinical formulation and summary right here. There's ICTS info, it's appropriate here. Info for prognosis. And any recommendations you might have, except for treatment, etc. If there's a CASI, you can type in the info here. If you do click except for treatment, you can detail it here, as well as the recommended level of service. When you're all done, you click complete, and then complete again, and again, and again. This is our final screen here. Now be sure if you're using the paper billing still to click non-billable yes, and then you just type in your password and save it. And that is how we do our assessment.